Welcome back to Season 5, Episode 10 of Teed Up, where everyone's a sports expert.
The podcast that makes you care about sports, including President Connolly.
We're an original podcast created and produced by Long Beach State student-run newspaper, The Long Beach Current. I'm Maddie.
I'm Soleil.
And today we have a new guest on the podcast. We have Long Beach State's women's volleyball head coach, Natalie Reagan.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. No longer the interim head coach.
No longer interim.
Permanent.
Yeah.
You're chilling.
I don't know about chilling, but yeah, we're permanent. We have a job, so.
So, first year with Long Beach State, or first year as the head coach.
Yeah.
You guys, there was a little bit of a rough patch in the beginning, or in the middle. You were losing some 5-set matches. You ended the season though winning 7 of 8, and then made it to the semifinals of the Big West tournament. Just kind of get your initial thoughts of the season as a whole.
Yeah. Overall, it was a really fun season for us. We had a really great group of girls, and that always makes it like a blast. So regardless of the results throughout the year was just really, really fun. We did have some ups and downs, I think, with any season that comes naturally. We started out great in a really, really difficult preseason. So our preseason was ranked 11th in the nation for strength of schedule. So very, very difficult preseason. We came out, I want to say 6-4. So for us, that was success. And then in the middle of the season, we were struggling. We had previous 5-set wins, but we were struggling with some 5-set losses in the middle of the season. And then we actually had a lineup change. So for our last, I want to say 8 matches, we were in a 6-2. So we were no longer in our 5-1. And that seemed very fruitful for us. It was very difficult to defend for opponents. So we were pretty successful in that. And then going into the Big West tournament, we had a really good match against a difficult UC San Diego team, and then just fell short at the end there with Cal Poly.
This offseason has been kind of a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah.
There's significant roster turnover. How have you kind of dealt with that? Obviously, college sports now, there's so much with the transfer portal.
Yeah.
You guys lost 9 seniors,
Yeah.
like 5 starters, I want to say.
Yeah.
So how's that just been?
Yeah, we got a whole new group right now.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. Like we have a lot of like new blood that's really excited to be here. But also, there's so much changing in college athletics that we're a big part of our roster changes. So we lost 9 seniors. We also have some changes with the changing NCAA landscape. So there were some changes there. And then the transfer portal and what's going on with the new rules in the NCAA with the transfer portal. We brought in 3 transfers this spring. And then we graduated. We have 3 high school seniors that graduated early that are in our gym right now. So we have 6 newbies in our gym.
Wow. Given the departure of a setter like Zayna Meyer, how do you plan to transition into next season with like a younger group of setters?
Yeah, we have a young group of setters, also setters with some playing time. And so for us, they've been in our gym and training with us and have some playing time experience too with Maddie Maxwell, Maddie Collins, and Milani Lee. And all of them have played in matches in their careers and have some of the like nerves underneath them, but they are really, really well-prepared setters. And I think being in our gym and training in our system, training with Zayna, training with Maura Hayes, like they have a lot of experience there. So we're leaning on that a lot and then training them a ton this spring. So we're excited. Like today's our first spring match. So excited to get them some more experience there. But yeah, we having 3 setters that know our system and are able to translate that into next fall is very exciting for us.
Yeah, I know you mentioned being in like a 5-1 and then going to a 6-2. Yeah. Are you planning on staying in the 6-2?
Whatever gets us those dubs. Whatever gets us those dubs, man. No, I don't think there's a necessary plan there. We feel very comfortable with both a 5-1 and a 6-2. Maddie Maxwell is a really special athlete where she can do both. So she can set and hit. Yeah. And so for us, we're keeping options open with the 6-2. We also really like the idea of having a 6 rotation opposite that can attack out of the back row. So there's a lot of creative solutions and there's a lot of time between now and fall. So just kind of seeing where our roster takes us.
You mentioned Maddie Maxwell and then as well as Maddie Collins. Talk about their kind of like versatility as well as kind of leaning into them being kind of the short list of returners where you're kind of leaning on them to show the younger guys, but also kind of creating a new culture for this new next year.
Yeah, so our culture is interesting right now because we have a young roster for sure, but we also have a lot of experience in our transfers. We have a sixth year in Nico Thomas, and we also have a third year in Annabelle Kotsakov and a third year in Laurel Barsocini. So for us, we're not necessarily that inexperienced with some of our new gals, but we do have a lot of freshmen coming in. So there will be a very inexperienced crew there. So Maddie Collins and Maddie Maxwell, both of them played huge roles in our fall this last year. And, you know, you mentioned the versatility of them as humans and volleyball players. Those are two, what did they call themselves in the middle of the season? Maddie squared or something. Like those are two gals that I would very much trust to play 2-on-2 volleyball with anyone. They can do it all. And they, off the court also are incredible leaders. They demonstrate, you know, our core values very, very well. They're incredible human beings. They respect and trust their teammates, and the level of gratitude from those kids is just really high. So yeah, Maddie Maxwell changed positions for us last year. So she was a left side, which is a totally different position for her. So this will be a little more familiar for her being a setter opposite. And then Maddie Collins, she's an incredible volleyball player. She's trained as a setter, but also a libero for us. So just all over the place.
I know you kind of referenced, you know, the culture and how you have a lot of transfers coming in, and, you know, different people coming from different teams. Yeah. What kind of culture are you working to create right now?
Yeah, we're really excited about this. So I think with transition, with change, you know, there's exciting pieces and also nerve-wracking pieces where within teams and team dynamics, you can, with a lot of newness in a group. So not only do we have our 6 new players in the gym, but we also have a new associate head coach. And so for us, our staff is changing too. So with newness in your program, there's the opportunity to build a culture from the foundation up, which is very exciting. We don't have some of those previous scars that I think teams have when they have a lot of returners, but also you run the risk of losing some pieces of your culture that are really important and exciting. So for us, that was a really big focus for us this spring. We talked about culture a lot. We met as a team for the entire first week of spring season and just talked about what it meant to be a Long Beach State women's volleyball player. We did a whole team session where we studied the legacy of the program and studied our alumni and different teams throughout the year and their accomplishments. And it was so cool to see our girls understand what has come before them in this program, and then to be able to represent that moving forward. We're bringing the tall socks back. We're bringing long socks back to represent our legacy and those that have come before us and paved this path, because it's so important. So those are things, a part of our culture that I don't think we've had in the past that we're reincorporating now.
You came the same year as both of us, really, in 2023. So I kind of feel some sort of like connection there.
Good.
So first game in the pyramid against Texas, that was obviously memorable. You guys had some big wins last year, swept Hawaii.
Yep.
Kind of just talk about how it was getting it first year as an assistant under Tyler and kind of working with him, and how that was.
Yeah, I loved our staff that year. I really loved our experience. I came from a very stable job that, you know, I honestly thought was going to be kind of my retirement gig.
Where you were really chilling?
I was really chilling. It was actually chilling there. So I was the program head at Harvard Westlake, a private middle and high school in the Valley, and loved that gig. And it was really hard to make the career jump from there to Long Beach. And Tyler and I had worked together a little bit at Nebraska previously, and so we knew each other. And the more we talked about it, and I have known Long Beach. Like, I was recruited here. I have followed the program for a long time. When I was at Oregon State, we would come play here. My previous head coach and Brian Gemolaro were really close. So I have followed the program for a long time and known a lot of the alumni over my years in volleyball. And I always felt like this was a place that just had so much potential, and was kind of underachieving for the last decade or so. And so when Tyler called and I was thinking about Long Beach and thinking about the vision and thinking about like what it could be, there was someone that came to mind, and that was Terry Pettit. So Terry Pettit was an incredible, legendary coach that transformed Nebraska volleyball. And he came before John Cook, and Nebraska was nothing before that. And he did some things in the community and did some things within the program that, like, within the state, that changed the course and the trajectory of Nebraska volleyball. And I remember telling Tyler, like, one of the first times we sat down to talk Long Beach, and I was like, we could Terry Pettit this. Like, we could like build this into like a mini Nebraska. And this community is so special, and the pyramid's so special, and the following is so special that like I saw that vision so early. And he was, Tyler was an incredible leader, incredible mentor, still is. And he helped share that vision with me. And so when he departed, although a lot of emotions in those moments, I felt very prepared to step into that role, because we had talked about it and cultivated this vision together. And he was such a cooperative leader in that sense that, like, when he departed, it just felt natural, and it felt like it was already partly mine. And so it didn't feel like I was, taking over this brand new program. It felt like we had grown that together for a year plus. So I felt very confident and thankful for that mentorship.
So it seems like an easier transition than this kind of sudden.
I think this is about as easy as it gets, although difficult, and it came with its own, challenges. It's not every day that you see an interim turn into a permanent that's been at the program for, I would say, as little time as I have been here. But I also, I'm incredibly thankful and grateful that our administration, Bobby, Gladdy, Mark Edrington, like, they saw that in me, and Alan has just been an incredible mentor through this whole process. So it was very cool to see it transition from this like leap of faith from them, and then the success that we had, not just on the court, but off the court last year, and how that transpired into where we are now.
Little bit of a personal story. I specifically remember the day because we were in a class together.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
She asked me, like, do you know about the volleyball coach leaving? And I was like,
yeah,
what?
I am.
No.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I growing up, so came here, but like growing up, I was like, my parents like big USC fans.
Yeah.
So I would go to like USC games.
Yep.
So I follow them on Instagram, and they posted like this edit, and I was like, looking at the comments, I was like, wait. And I was going back and forth. I was like, that really looks like Tyler.
It really
and I was like,
does.
wait. And then I was like, I was looking at the comments, and I was like, what? And then I was like, I went on Reddit. I was like, okay, wait. I was like, why is there nothing about this yet? So then I'm in class, and we're like sitting next to each other. I'm like super bored. I'm like, hey, like, look at this video. And then he saw the video, and then he went and wrote a story about it.
As a young journalist,
you guys were breaking the news, man.
The peak of my career so far, because I was like, man, like, nothing's out about this, and like athletics hasn't even put it out, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm good to go with this story. So
you were first on the scene.
Yeah, so that was special, and created an opportunity for you. So
yes, yeah, it did. Yeah, that leak was a little bit of a premature leak by USC, and I remember calling and texting Brad and Tyler and being like, guys, we're not there yet. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But no, it was, the team already knew at that point, so we were thankful for that timing.
It was in a TikTok video too. It's just like the most interesting leak, but it was a good TikTok. I mean,
it was. They do a good job there. Yeah.
Not as good as our social team, but
shout out social team.
You've coached at multiple levels, from high school powerhouse to really volleyball powerhouse at Nebraska. Kind of talk about seeing kind of the different steps or different stages of just like your career and being at such kind of big institutions?
Yeah, if there's a position within volleyball, I've probably worked it. So it's crazy to think, so the restaurateur industry talks about from the dishwasher to the owner, right? Like there's all of these different levels, and if it's a level, I've done it. So, I've been everything from the student athlete to director of ops to assistant to interim to head to statistic, like everything, club director, high school coach. So I've seen all of the pieces of this crazy world that we live in. So it's been a wild ride in that sense, but I really, at the end of the day, I trust my mentors and my network so much. Like I'm so thankful to have built this group of amazing people in this industry around me. So I've really just kind of leaned on them through everything. But I also feel like all of those experiences, all of those titles led me to a place last year where I was really prepared to step into a new role with this team. And I remember one lesson in particular, when all of the change was happening, that those couple of days were crazy for us. And I remember one of our managers came to us, one of our student managers came to us and said, anything I can do to help. And like, I'm going to step up. Like, I'm going to do this, this, and this now. Like, you guys are shorthanded. You need help. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, that's not genuine to you. And like, I don't want you to feel like you have to be someone more than that. And that was a lesson that I learned when I was changing roles in a different job, in a different context. And I had learned that lesson before through failure, that like I felt like I needed to be something more or to be someone else to fill that role. And it was the worst thing I could have done because it was just disingenuous. It wasn't me. It wasn't like who I was as a coach or a person. So, and people see right through that, right? And so for me, that was a moment of like, I don't need to be something different. I don't need to be something more. I just need to continue to like care, love, and work hard for this program. And I saw that spread throughout my staff. I saw that spread in our assistant coach, our strength coach, our athletic trainer. Like everyone wanted to do more and be more because they love this program. And I think keeping the genuineness and the individualistic like view of who we are was more important than necessarily like stepping up in the moment. And I think that's a big reason why we had so much success in our off season. Like we retained 100% of our roster. We recommitted every single recruit, every single student athlete. So, and those numbers, like you never see that in programs. But I think because we were able to just be ourselves and continue the vision and continue the mission at hand, it was a big reason why we had so much success.
I know you mentioned you've been like every position, like you've been the coach, you've been the program director. Yeah. Have you ever been a ref?
No, I've never. Dang it!
Retract that statement.
That's like a big thing in the volleyball world. I feel like that's like the pipeline for like. Yeah, I know so many girls that I played with that were younger that are refs now, or like some coaches that I had. Like
we need more refs.
Yeah, men's coaches. When I would go to my club tournament, they're like the ref, and I just think it's. Yeah.
No, I've reffed my fair share of games, but I've never been the ref. And now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I have because I'm friends with so many refs throughout our industry. Like we're very close, and you spend this much time with people at club tournaments, like you become close with these humans. But no, I've never been the ref.
Yeah, one of my first like men's volleyball game that I went to here. Yeah, my high school coach was like the lines ref, and I was like, that's so like random and funny, but
so great. Yeah, we need more good refs.
Brings us into a good thing. What is your least favorite rule in women's volleyball?
That's a very easy one for me. Yes, I've been a little bit vocal about this on social media, but
I think we know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a rule. So the net line, the center line, it extends past the poles. And when the ball outside of the antenna crosses that center line, for women's volleyball, it's out of bounds. So if our girls are being athletic and they're going and they're pursuing a ball that's dug from within the antennas, but outside of the antennas, and they pass that line, it's whistle blow, point over, point opposite team. But it's not the same for men's volleyball. So men's volleyball can pursue. And I've talked to a lot of refs about this. I've talked to a lot of higher ups about this, and it used to be the same for women's. And there was one incident where a ref got injured or something, and basically they're now telling women that we're going to hurt ourselves or someone else if we try to do this, but men are apparently athletic enough that they won't hurt themselves or someone else and can do this. So that is my one rule that I would change in women's volleyball.
Yeah, we did a little bit of research on it, and I saw that the whole reason was just because it's unsafe, but yeah, that doesn't really, like, it should be unsafe for both if it's going to be unsafe for one.
Thank you. I have a really hard time when we tell people, like, it's okay for the boys to do it, but not the girls.
Yeah. Going back a little bit to when you talked about, you know, being at Nebraska and building those connections with, like, Tyler and stuff like that, what does that, like, Nebraska national championship team mean to you, and how was that experience?
So much. I was in Nebraska for 3 seasons. I got my master's while I was there, and it feels like home for me. It'll always feel like home. I was just talking to John Cook the other day. He's living his best life in Wyoming with his horses. But it really, that experience was so crucial to me as a coach and my coaching philosophy, and I learned so much from that program. And I think from the wins and the losses, we didn't have a great season my 2014 year. 2015, we were fortunate enough to win a national championship. And then 2016, we won a Big Ten championship and lost in the semifinals in the Final Four. And all of those years had different lessons. And I think one of the most important lessons that is not traditional that I took away from my experience there is just how important the process is and not necessarily like the outcome. We won a national championship in 2015, and a lot of people think like, oh, was that like the most amazing time? And it was a really hard year for me. And like, it was not just for so many different things that were going on. It was not like the best time of my life. And I think, it really, I have been so competitive and focused on the wins and losses for so long in my career that I thought like, if you get there, everything will be good and happy. And we got there and it wasn't. And I was like, wait a second, it's supposed to be. And so it was interesting. And I preach it now to our athletes, like, regardless of the wins and losses, like, we have to enjoy life. Like, we have to like find balance and find joy within the many, many hours that we're spending together. Like, it's so important for so many different reasons. And I think that's something that you learn when you get into like the process and not necessarily the outcome with life. But if you're so focused on just getting to that one goal, it can be really difficult to like achieve it and then like not know what to do next.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's a good like mentality to have, especially for a team, a transitioning team going into next year. Like last year, it was a lot of returners. You kind of expected, you had expectations of where you guys would finish. And then this year, it's going to be a whole new challenge. So that's pretty good to have. Soleil has prepared a game for us.
Yes.
We like love games.
Okay, so it's going to be a little bit of like a trivia game. It's like, it's going to be pretty easy for you most likely, but it's just going to make
famous last words.
But it's just going to make you like, it's asking you questions. So I'm going to say like a sentence, and then you're going to guess like the volleyball term.
Okay.
Since you're on the spot, it might be a little bit more difficult, but
let's go. Let's lean in.
Okay. A ball that falls to the floor in an area that's surrounded by 2, 3, or 4 players.
Oh, nightmare.
That's a good answer.
Oh, I just cringe thinking about that. We have a yes mentality. So if you, can I go for that ball? Yes. Should I go for that ball? Yes. Yeah. So if a ball falls in between those people, it is a yes mentality. And if no one goes for it, we hit the wall. So whatever closest end line wall there is, which if you've been in our gyms is pretty far away, you got to go touch that wall and back. So.
Okay. For us, it was a donut.
Oh, yep.
Or a mistake.
Yeah.
Or donut, campfire.
Miscommunication.
Yeah.
When a ball hits off an opposing blocker's arm and out of bounds.
Tool, baby.
Yes. And then 2 opposing players simultaneously trying to play a ball over a net.
Oh, a joust. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We love joust in our gym. Oh my gosh. If you come and watch our gym, we try to incorporate as much joust as possible. And every time someone wins one, they give a big flex and point at our strength coach. So it's yes, Jeff jouts.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Time between serve and end of a play.
Recovery. Between whistles is a big, like, common used term for us, but curious what you have.
Rally.
Oh, say it again?
Like between serve and end of the play.
Oh, yeah. Rally. I was thinking the other between whistles.
That was the one I got.
Yeah.
So,
I quizzed him earlier and then he's like, okay. And then once we got to like tool and joust, he's like, oh.
That's so funny. Rally. Yeah. Makes sense.
A serve that is not returned.
That is not returned.
Mm-hmm.
Side out.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like ace side out.
Yeah.
I actually got that one too. Record,
Did you say ace?
He started off slow and then
I got going.
A volleyball is played on what surface?
Terraflex.
Okay.
Okay. So there's been a controversy within like our newspaper. Okay? So I was doing a men's game the other day.
Yeah. And
I wrote the headline. I said like it was a play on like the greatest show on turf. I said the greatest show on foam because technically. Okay. Oh man. All right. Okay. I know it doesn't sound that good. Okay, she understood it and she's played volleyball. Okay?
Well,
but it's not hardwood in the pyramid.
But you could say hardwood because then it has context. It has overlap.
Yeah, but it's not hardwood in the pyramid, so that's what I didn't want to.
But you won't get this, but you will. The other thing that came to mind for me was sport court.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking of because I was like,
most volleyball games are played on sport court.
I was thinking of like the
squares.
Like, the squares that are like all put. That's what.
Yeah.
So when I read it, that's what I told him. I was like, oh, like I was like, oh yeah, cool headline.
There are way more volleyball games played on sport court than there are on Terraflex. But volleyball is played on Terraflex.
When you're writing the headline, you can't say like greatest show on Terraflex.
No, you can't. Yeah, unless you want some money and you get a little sponsorship.
Yeah.
Shout out Terraflex.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this has been a debate. So let's end off the game on what you thought.
There you go.
Okay. All right. I was wrong. And then you mentioned having your first spring game today.
Yeah.
And then you got another one tomorrow. Kind of just what you're looking for as a coach, kind of what things are you keeping an eye out?
Yeah, so spring games are fun. It's an opportunity for us to compete outside of season. And the stakes are low. There's no, big consequences or anything like that. But also, we're competitors and we love to compete. So we're looking for a win. And I think more importantly as a coach, how we win is really what's important for me, like how we play. Again, kind of back to the process for us. But what I'm looking for is to see the transition and the retention from our practice gym and things that we're doing in our practice gym to come out in the match. And one of my big philosophies is under pressure, you either rise to your standard or you sink to the level of your training. And for us as a coach, we want that range to be in a winning range. And so for our training, we've been trying to push that level up. And I think in terms of like competing and seeing where our team's at in a spring match where there's someone else across the net from us that's running a different system that's not just us, we're able to test that standard a little bit and see where our range is right now.
And then you're playing in the gold mine for these. Yeah. I know you mentioned kind of having a week-long session of kind of teaching the girls like the history of the program.
Yeah.
Kind of like, it's obviously not the pyramid.
Yeah.
It's not that, but kind of just talk about the gold mine. And
the gold mine's huge, man. When I bring like amazing old school alumni back, all they want to see is the gold mine. They're like, cool, pyramid, yeah, whatever. This is where my blood, sweat, and tears were. And it's really, really awesome. We brought back Antoinette White for the first time in 30 years. She was an amazing, amazing player. Her jersey's hanging in the rafters in the pyramid, and she's lived in Italy for the last 30 years. So it was her first time on campus this last summer, and we were walking her around the pyramid, and I was kind of expecting to see a little bit of reminisce or that kind of feeling, but there was nothing there. And I asked her, I was like, what's something you really want to see on campus? And she goes, I really want to see the ticket office at the gold mine. And I was like, that's so special. Like, that's not a space that I would think of, or like maybe not a space that I show our recruits when they're on campus, but it really was. The gold mine was such a historical place for this program. It's where Long Beach State volleyball was built. And you talk about the pyramid, and Walter's 30 years old last year. And, Walter was essentially built for Long Beach State volleyball, and it was a product of all of our success in the 80s and 90s. And so for us, the gold mine is the process. The gold mine is where we train. It's where we get that stuff done. It's where we honor our alumni and our legacy. So it is, although it's not the pyramid, and it's maybe not what we show our recruits on their official visits, but it is such a big part of our program. So we're very excited to play in the gold mine.
It's just in the kinesiology building.
And it's just there. You would have never thought if you weren't looking for it. Yeah, you wouldn't exactly see it, but legendary place.
Yeah. Now going to, mention blood, sweat, and tears, spending all that time on the court. What are some of your pet peeves as a coach?
When a ball drops in between 2 or 3 players.
Donuts.
Yeah, donuts. Pet peeves, I think we commit ourselves so much to this program, and when I don't see someone all in, and that can look like anything, right? Like it can look like someone that's not showing up on time, or it can look like someone that's dogging it in a drill, or it can look like someone that's not sweeping the sheds after we leave a space, or, culture things that are really important to us. When I see someone that's not all in, that's really hard for me. And those are, I think my team would say, like, I'll exaggerate some errors that we make in those instances, because it's a controllable. Like, are you all in? Are you all in with us? Are you all in with the team? Are you all in with the program? And to be all in, it has to be being present where your feet are. And so the change in college athletics and the transfer portal, like, it becomes really tricky for these young people to figure out like what the right way is for them. But when you're here, you're here. So we expect to be all in. And if you're not, it's a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. And then going from that, like, pet peeves, what do you love to see out of your players
when they're all in? Yeah. No, let me give you a more fun answer than that.
That's
outside
a good answer.
of W's.
That's a good answer.
Like, things that fire you up.
Winning fires
Positively.
me up. Yeah, I think we'll talk about just like everyday wins. So an everyday win is working on something in practice, and when they get it, when they have that like aha moment, there's no better feeling as a coach, right? You're just like so excited for them, so happy for them. And they, like, some kids will, like, we have some really exciting personalities on our team. Nico Thomas is a new transfer of ours, and she's bringing so much joy to the gym. And when she gets it, she does this thing. She jumps up and down. She'll like put her hands up in a V, and she'll come over. She'll be like, Coach, did you see what I did? And like, those moments are just irreplaceable. So it's very, very special to have those moments as a coach.
Yeah, that reminds me of like growing up. Like, coaches would always say like 1% better every 1% day.
Better.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, sure. When am I going to be 10% better?
And then to wrap things up, I know you mentioned a little about how Alan has kind of helped you.
Yeah.
You think there's going to be another banner in the pyramid come next year for the men's team?
Hell yeah, there is.
Good answer.
Yeah, I think absolutely we're going to take it this year. I think, as a coach, I hesitate in, any sort of like being able to say like all in yes, all in no. Like it's hard, you know, winning's hard. And that's why sports are so beautiful too. Like there's no guarantees in this. But with that being said, our team is so well-rounded, so well coached, such a good group of guys, and they really do like care, and they have so many intangibles together that it's a very, very special year for Long Beach State men's volleyball.
Yes, it's fun to see in the Pyramid.
Very fun.
Pyramid games, very fun.
Pyramid games are very fun right now. And I will say, you know, observing their practice gym every day, it's incredible to see the people that are traveling from across the world right now to be in the gym and to see Alan or to see the team play and witness the practices. It's really awesome to see everyone traveling from not just across the United States, across the world right now. So it's fun to see all of the excitement and traction that this team is getting because they deserve it.
Yeah.
That wraps things up. We want to thank you again for being here. Really appreciate taking the time today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us for Season 5, Episode 10 of Teed Up. Thank you to our video editor and producer, Aiden Swanapool, and our multimedia producer, Elle Nicklin. If you want to stay up to date on the latest in Long Beach State sports, check out our website at lbcurrent.com and follow us on socials at lbcurrent. Thank you so much for listening. See you guys later. Throw up big hearts at the end.
Big heart person.